I said at the beginning of this year that this year was the year of biology. And it has taken me 8 months, or I guess 7 months, to even start attempting to make good on that promise. So the protocol that we're going to do is a very bastardized version of this. Um, I guess why don't I just get the box out and show you guys what I have, and then we could start to go from there. I'm going to be doing this outside, which is not recommended, but I will say that what we're going to do is we're going to be just attempting to grow any type of microbes at all, and that means from the air or wherever. I don't have an incubator. I might build an incubator, but I also have, shortly will have access to a biology lab. And so we'll be doing that. And I actually should have some pretty cool projects that come from that. The thing is, I can't stream in there. Plus, I kind of hate to admit it, but I'm a little intimidated. There's like people there that, they run real companies and they're doing like actual science, and I'm there like, how do I make an agar plate? How do I culture microbes? So I'm a little intimidated. Not that I'm gonna let that stop me, but I want to do something at home so that I can take a protocol that I did here, do it there, and just get a flow for how to work in a lab. Because I'm really doing this totally self-taught. Um, so what we're going to be trying to do is just grow some type of microbe on an LB agar plate. Let me get my equipment. Okay. All right. So got a lot of stuff here. So I have some. There's no label on this, but this is 91% isopropyl. I've seen in the protocol that you're supposed to use 70% ethanol, so that is a change that I purchased some of the good stuff, but for now we're just gonna sanitize the table with some paper towels and some 91% isopropyl. They say that the problem with that there should be no difference between isopropyl and ethanol. However, having a higher concentration means it's going to evaporate faster and have less time to kill the microbes. Okay, I'm going to have a lab notebook and a pen. I don't actually know, in doing this, I'm trying to think about how important sterility is and how we're going to accomplish this, but we're going to make the best out of it. So I'm going to assume so these are petri dishes, and I'm going to have to go look up on Amazon what the dimensions of these are so that we can calculate the volume of agar, LB agar broth, or whatever it's called, that we need to make. But these are 5 plates, and I bought these on Amazon. It was pretty cheap, I think. Okay, I bought a set of beakers on Amazon. We should only need 500 mils. Obviously, this is super not sterile. It's been sitting in my garage forever, but again, we're sort of doing things the bad way just to get started. Okay, I bought a set of graduated cylinders. This is a 250 milliliter graduated cylinder. So we're going to be using this to make our medium, or to measure out our DI water. Now, that is actually something that I have that is pretty good, because I happen to have an RO water filter system at home. Now, the filter probably hasn't been changed in a while. Regardless, though, I expect that my water quality will not be the source of any issues. Okay, so I got some gloves here, so we're going to be putting on some gloves here in a minute. I got some tape and a Sharpie. This will be to label my plates or whatever. Okay, and now here is where I have some agar. Probably can't see that, but agar. And then, so I didn't know that you could buy these together. If I had, in hindsight, if I had read this protocol before I started buying stuff, I probably would have bought LB agar powder. Apparently you can buy it pre-mixed. I didn't know that. So we're going to have to like figure out what, because this says use 25 grams. And then this says 15 grams per liter. So we're probably going to be using 25 grams of LB broth and 15 grams, and that's all per liter. So that's that. Okay, and now we have, and honestly, this is like insanely overkill, but I did buy this and I've been kind of wanting to use it forever, but it's a milligram scale. And actually, it has a USB-C port on it. I'm curious. Actually, it probably has some sort of data logging capabilities. I might actually go and find the manual for that and look that up. But okay, so I am going to just switch over here. I am going to have to cut out, or not cut out, but so the way this procedure usually goes is you make, I mean, see, there's already bugs crawling around here, so this is going to be pretty tricky to do sterile, but no matter, it's really, it's fine. So the way this is typically done, from my understanding, is that you make your solution. So while I'm still ungloved, we can walk around here. And this is so okay. I guess I should say, yeah, this is the protocol that we're following, and this is the video part of it. It's from Adgene. Yeah, I don't know. I think this doesn't have any documentation on how big it is, so I'll look that up. Okay, so it says measure 37 grams. We're going to be using 40 total. Okay, so now we need to determine. Okay, so it's now time to go and look up on Amazon what Petri dishes I actually bought. So let me go to my orders here. Petri dish. Okay, so I bought 90 millimeter glass Petri dishes. So 90 is the bottom. And its height, so this is ID. And then 18 millimeters is the height. So that's, I think, bigger than they have it. So we're going to be making 5 plates of this. And how full are you supposed to make them? I have Petri dishes, 90 millimeters in diameter and 18 millimeters high. How much are, how much Okay. Okay, so we are going to be using 20 then. So we're going to be using 20 milliliters per. So we need to make only 100 milliliters of media. So that means that I'm probably going to go get a different beaker Oh yeah, and one thing that he has here is this flame. That's actually pretty interesting. It's not just to sterilize stuff; it's also to make an updraft so that uh, it like makes a little shield. I don't have that, and obviously, even outside with wind and everything, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so 100 milliliters. So let's make 125 total. Okay. So if we did 0.125 times 40, but we actually need to figure out how much to weigh of each of our. Oh, we only need 5 grams of this stuff? Wow, that's not very much. I didn't even think about that. Is that right? Because we're making so little of it. But so 25, so we're gonna have to weigh out 3.125 grams of LB broth. And then this is gonna be times 15. This is gonna be 1.875 grams agar. Okay. And okay. So I think I am. Let me just keep that door slightly ajar so that when I go in, because the thing is, so okay, so all right, let's read the protocol in its entirety, just so that everyone, so that we're all on the same page and that I have a clear idea of what's happening. All right. Transfer the LB agar powder you've measured into appropriately sized bottle for autoclaving. We make 400 milliliters of agar in 1 liter bottles and 200 milliliter and 500 milliliter bottles. The extra empty volume is necessary to prevent the molten agar from boiling over. So, um, so they actually cap it, but they don't cap it tightly. I don't really have any system for that. Um, transfer. Okay. So we also don't have a bottle, and we don't have Erlenmeyer flasks, so we're just gonna be using beakers. Transfer the sterile water to the same bottle and swirl to form a medium agar colloid. Cover the opening of the bottle with its cap or aluminum foil, but do not make an airtight seal. Oh yeah, okay. But do not make an airtight seal and tape the bottle with autoclave tape. The autoclave tape will darken during the autoclave process if your sample has spent at least 10 minutes at 121 C. Use the lab tape to label the bottle with your initials, the date, and the bottle contents. This will clear up any confusion later if you forget your bottle in the autoclave. So we're going to be doing this in the microwave, and the Thought Emporium even says, like, in the video on how to stock a genetics lab, that for the most time when they're doing agar media, it does seem like they just use a. But actually, can we? I just want to see when he pulls it out. He uses Erlenmeyer, but
come in a few varieties. They let you measure how. On the topic of hot things, a hot plate and stirrer is always great, as is a microwave. Not everything needs the endless torrent of heat that an autoclave provides, and sometimes a bit of quick heat to melt a gel is sufficient, so a microwave is perfect for that. Anytime we make agarose gels, for example, we melt everything in a microwave.
okay. So they did have a bottle. Um, Nothing we can do about that right now. Um, Okay, while your samples are sterilizing in the autoclave, you should prepare your plate pouring station. Find an empty section of lab bench with a working flame. So that also no working flame. So, and actually, I kind of want to be like insanely pedantic and overbearing on some of this stuff. For example, I'm thinking about how I want to um let's see, type. That's ridiculous. That's not what I'm talking about. Just in case, let me just do this. Okay, I don't even have it. So give me a second here. Yeah, none of this stuff is exactly what I want. Um I mean, for right now, let's just wait, start project? Is that what I want? Empty document? Okay, sure. Uh okay. Okay, so most of the procedure is based off of is there not a I already completely forgot this. Okay. Okay, so this this protocol has been adapted to de-emphasize sterility and doesn't require the usage of and autoclave. Oh, and one thing I did want to mention though is I actually happen to have an instant pot, and it turns out that you can use an instant pot for what people say is pretty good sterilization of glassware. So that is something that I'm going to be doing when I dispose of this stuff at the end of
You need to check.
the what the hell? Okay. Um, I got myself on a loop here. Okay. All right. So notably, so we're basically just gonna keep the notes. I'm not gonna like rewrite this whole thing. Notably, I'm making 5 plates. I am making 5 instead of 20 plates. I'm using 90 millimeter by 18 millimeter Petri dishes. Get this next to it. Okay. Is there not like a calc? I thought there was like a calc. Calc. How do you? How do we do this? Hash calc.abs. Do you still need the hash? Okay, cool. But isn't there a quick way to just multiply numbers? I think you have to do this. I think you're supposed to do. Oh yeah, see that you put it in a hash, and then and you put it in a hash and then parentheses, and then you can do that. So we will still use 20 milliliters of media per plate with 25 milliliters of extra. So this is 20 times 5 plus 25 is equal to hash 125 milliliters. Okay. The LB broth recommends, and we are using LB high veg broth. MV 1245 100G. I think this is just 100 grams of this stuff. Okay, recommends 25 grams per liter. The agar recommends 15 grams per liter. Okay, so 125. I wish we could actually do units. Is there a way of? I mean, that's the funny thing about these typesetting programs. It's like inevitably you end up having to build a full-fledged computer algebra system with units handling and everything, like units types. Like, can we do calculations with units? Can you compute with them though? See, this is all typesetting, but it's not actually calculating, is it? Yeah. Okay, anyways, it doesn't matter. So this is going to be 125 milliliters times wait, this is going to be 0.125 liters times 25 grams is equal to, and then we can just do this. 15. This is how much LB and agar we need respectively. Okay, great. So now we have our calculations. It's actually really, I will say, it's very freeing to do labs on your own, because the worst thing, I was in this chemistry class recently, and the thing is, the whole goal for everyone about the chemistry labs was finishing it and not thinking as much as possible. Now, when you're doing it yourself, you actually have an investment in making it work, and it doesn't really matter what, and it actually matters what the outcome is, and it's just a totally different feeling. And you know what? Let's see if we can look this up. MV1245 100G. Technical data sheet, MSDS. So what does this even have in it? Bro, what the hell? Let me just look up MV1245. Oh my god. This website is the fucking worst. Yeah. What if I look up Luria Bertani High Veg? Does this have a SKU on it? I should get my phone charger, actually. Give me a second. I'm gonna get my phone charger. Alright, so this one probably... Okay, here we go. We actually have the... Let's see. So this is the safe MSDS. Okay. So I haven't read an MSDS in quite a long time. Well, it's an Indian company? Wow. I'm kind of surprised. I just assumed it was a Chinese company. Oh, you know what? We should I'm gonna actually get I am gonna get glasses, and I'm even gonna get my lab coat. Just it's more about um it's more about the habit than anything. Okay. Um so the main thing is the aerosolization, is that the issue? Yeah, so this is pretty safe stuff. And then agar. Oh, disposal, actually. Oh, really? Is that true? Why can't you do that? I wish they would explain more. What is just agar? I'm just curious in case I have to throw some of this away. Oh, okay. So there is like a fundamental distinction between hazardous and non-hazardous. Okay, good. Dude, what would I do without ChatGPT? It's like, yeah, maybe I should learn to just read this very highly technical MSDS, but it's like, this is plain English and it tells me what I need to know. Okay, so I'm gonna get my goggles, or I'm gonna get my glasses because all of this stuff is non-hazardous, so it's really not a big deal. I'm gonna get my lab coat. I'm gonna get my phone charger. Okay. I need to find something though. Yeah, no, bro. I'm fitted up. I'm fitted up. All right, so we are gonna switch cameras. We're gonna start okay. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, let's just switch over to this. Okay, put a couple of, these are really thin gloves, man. I don't know if I, let me just, okay, I'm already breaking the rules by touching um, my computer, but I just need to get the, okay. So first thing, I'm just gonna try to sterilize everything. So it's just petri dishes out of the way. I need to make sure actually that that nothing freezes. So okay. So this is not the right way to do this, but it's what we got. It's what we're gonna do. Okay, that's as clean as it's gonna get. Now we are going to weigh. How much did we say? 3.125 grams of LB broth. Okay, let's tare it. Oh, interesting. I don't even know what that's about. What is that? Is that to pull this? Oh, I pull this seal. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, so I did buy these scoops. So we're doing, wait, so let's zero it again. Three. 3.195. Or 3.2. Okay. Into the beaker. Oh, you know what I didn't do right? Shit. I'm supposed to take this off of here. Okay, well, let's just say that it was right. It's extremely fine powder. I don't actually love that. I need some Kim wipes. But it's okay. Okay, so now this is technically, so this is now, this will be something else. So let's cap this off. Okay, I'm gonna use another one now for agar. Because I don't want to dip it in. Okay, so we're gonna tear it. What did I say? 1.875 grams. This does not need to be this accurate. 1.87. 1.85 or something. Okay. Oh wait. All right, so this is good. So we did this. Now we have this medium, or this mix, and we're gonna add 125 milliliters of water to that. So I don't really know what this thing is for, honestly. Um, is it so that you can rest it on its side? I think it's so that you can store it on its side. All right, so we're gonna be making 125. And hilariously, this is what I'm using. I do have a wash bottle coming. We're getting a little close now. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, I'll write this down. 125 milliliters. All right. It kind of smells. Okay, so now I'm going to go microwave this in 30 to 45-second increments until it starts to boil, I believe. And then I'm going to bring it back out here and we are going to plate. And so we need to now move on to the stage where we have prepped. And let's just open up all of these so that we're ready. And all of this is getting autoclaved at the end of the experiment anyways. All right, so now it is time to go try to make this boil. I think this is attracting bugs. I think there's bugs in here. It smells terrible. It smells gross. All right, let's just go do this thing. Okay, so that was actually relatively easy. It's not boiling at the, but it was bubbling very fast. So now we're just going to and then do we cover them or not? I think we have to cover them, right? Okay, so that is the procedure. That's it. Right? I mean, let me just get over here. Let's see. They do this thing of basically they have this whole extra step of adding the ampicillin. I do really want to do that, and of course I will need to do that. Um, but at the moment I just don't have any way to do that. Retrieve your molten, partially submerge it, light the flame, swirl the agar bottle to ensure even distribution of the antibiotic. Open one plate at a time next to the flame and begin pouring. Measure with a pipette for the first plate so you have a good idea what the volume looks like. Yeah, this isn't very even. I didn't do a very good job, but I really don't think it's going to be a big deal. Pour directly from the bottle. Leave your plates out on the bench to solidify. Okay, good. So now we wait for 15 minutes. Um, I guess we can hop over here and do some observations. So, so, let's see. Bugs were attracted to it. It seemed like when I mixed the um, auger and LB. It had a pretty strong smell. Um, it looks like miso almost, or not miso, but like miso soup or something. Um, it took about, I think it took, uh, I did 30 seconds, then 25, then 20, then 20, I believe, to get the 125 milliliters of LB auger to bubble vigorously, stirring in between each microwave session. Okay, so hey Google, set a timer for 30 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna wait for these to solidify. I wonder why you can't just put them in the fridge. Um, Okay. I'm not gonna wait a whole day for them to dry. Oh, what do I want to know? I want to know. Luckily, like, you know, that's a good idea. Okay, well, we're just gonna use the Q-tips. All right, cool. So I finally made some use of my lab gear. I'm gonna take off my gloves. I'll use another one when it's time to do the swabbing. There's definitely some bugs in here, man. That was definitely an unexpected uh that was definitely unexpected. fuck is going on? So we wait, I guess. What can I do once the different colonies have grown? Once you've got distinct colonies on your LB plates, you've opened the door to a whole suite of follow-up steps. Everything from simple counting to full identification and characterization. That would be sweet if you could actually determine what they are. That's crazy. Count colony forming units. Pick one representative plate, count colonies, and back calculate CFU per swab. Photograph. Okay, wait. Actually, wait. Hold on. We forgot to do all of this though. Um, um, the entire. So wait, let me just do this really quickly. What's going on? That was weird. Wait, what's happening? What the fuck? That was really weird. Actually, something very strange is going on. That was weird. Okay. They do seem to be solidifying. It does seem to be pretty solid. Here, wait, actually, check this out. Can you see how goopy it is? Can you see that? It's very goopy. I really want to eat it, man. Can I eat this? Let's find out. I want to try it. I probably won't. Cause I don't know what the hell is in this stuff, you know? Not for drug use. But God, that would be so freaking. But what about just auger? Let's see. Is the auger food grade? Industrial use only. You know what's interesting is a lot of the home biology crowd they're all mycologists. Okay, so we have plenty of this stuff to that remains. Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking is I feel like people do use auger for like molecular gastronomy stuff. So what should we swab? That's the question. What should I swab? Okay, so wait, Label before. Wait, what? How did they label them?
You'll get the hang of it, and before you know it, you'll be a plate pouring pro. As you pour your plates, be careful to recap them quickly, since that little flame certainly won't kill everything that could fall on them. We stack our plates in piles of about 5 as we pour. Make sure you swirl each plate after you pour it. If you're make
I can't tell. That looks like it's like. Do you see that? That's actually really. Oh wait, no, never mind. Those are all. Auger is down. The auger
sure
is.
you swirl each plate after you pour it. If your LB agar partially solidifies, you should stop pouring and remake the gel mix. If you're making plates without any antibiotic, you can alternatively reliquefy the LB agar by running it through the autoclave again or by microwaving. If you microwave, beware of overboiling. It takes roughly 30 minutes for our plates to solidify at room temperature. However, we leave them out overnight to allow them to dry. Once dry, we place the plates in a plastic bag with an absorbent material to reduce condensation. For long-term storage, we keep our plates in the cold room at 4 degrees Celsius. Even when stored at this temperature,
We're definitely gonna put it under a microscope. Oh, that's actually a good idea. Oh, interesting. So we'll make more. Ooh. Oh, that would be so cool. I actually want to do that. So that's what I'm definitely gonna do this one. Um, so I'm definitely gonna do microscopy and restreaking. Then we can look into. Oh, okay. So reagent grade antibiotic powder. But then why did they? Because these guys stored their ampicillin. Where did he get it?
Find or make an empty section of bench with a working flame. Then we spray down the bench with 70% ethanol and wipe it with a paper towel. Once the
Okay, wait. I'm gonna do this labeling thing. I don't think anything is gonna go wrong. Oh wait, I didn't do this right. I see why they're recommending a fine tip. You don't have a ton of room. Okay, so um Anand Jane. What's the date today? 8/2/25. Um phone screen environmental swab. I guess I should probably say LB auger. This will be our control. For some reason, it seems a little bit more delayed than usual. I don't know. Yeah, see that? You see that? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not right. And then what do we want to swab? Let's swab. Um, I want to swab the tree. Um, what else could I swab? Let's do doorknob. Okay, so I think I'm ready. Okay, I'm gonna go get a beaker. Um, okay, I'll be back. All right, so let's get it move on here. Put some more gloves on. And I think I'm just gonna come back for each sample. See, actually, how do I want to do this? Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to write down in here. Okay. The control plate was left upside on a table open for 30 minutes. Okay, so just start the. Hey Google, start a 30-minute timer. Okay, so there's that. Now we are going to do the phone screen. Okay, so I have these Q-tips. And it says to wet them. So I am, instead of doing this in a smart way, I am just going to drop a drop of water onto them. Okay, now I'm going to rub my phone screen. Okay. And I don't know how to do this, but I feel like you can't really mess it up. Okay. The next one is the patio table. This is a good one. Okay. Oh yeah, this quite dirty. Okay. And I think now we turn them upside down, right? Okay, tree. Okay, last one is doorknob. I think I'm actually gonna go do sponge. Sponge. I should have done a true control to see if anything grows without this thing. Okay. So I'm not going to wait the whole 30 minutes. We're just going to do this. Okay, I'm going to go put these inside, just on the table inside, and we're going to wait for 24 hours, and then I'll take some pictures. I'll probably check tonight. All right, so that is the lab. 2-hour lab. This was for 7 minutes. All right. So now it's time to clean up. So I have a beaker that has some some solidified LB agar in it. I'm wondering how to clean up. My graduated cylinder only had DI in it. But oh yeah, we should get some whey boats probably. I might get some whey boats and I might get some swabs. I think I do have inoculation loops actually though. Some metal ones. Um, I don't have a lid. I think I am gonna buy some bottles. At least some Erlenmeyer flask, I guess. Some swabs. Just to make sure that I can do this lab sort of closely. Okay, so we are gonna use the instant pot. Oh, one thing I should note is samples were collected by dropping 3 to 5 drops of I was just say RO water onto the Q-tip, and then swabbing for approximately 10 to 15 seconds. 10 to 15 seconds, probably. The swab technique was a back and forth, rotate 90 degrees, and swab again to attempt even plating. Okay. Okay. What's up, Spot Scoot? We just made, well, they're sitting inside right now, but we just made LB auger plates. You can rewind to see what we did. But basically, it's a very standard lab that people do in like AP biology. I remember doing it. Um, where you basically just go swab a bunch of random places and put it onto LB auger plates and see what grows. That's what I was gonna do. I didn't know if that was okay though. Just after autoclaving, simply leave the beaker on the bench. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So we are now going to attempt to clean this, and um, it'll be kind of interesting. These two things are going to be interesting to all right. So I'm going to be, so let's just watch that instant pot video again. So instant pot sterilize. I hate that it does that. If I do control whatever, I don't want to watch this video. I'm going to watch the other one.
At least 10 minutes at 121.
See, all of these people are all mycologists. I don't get why. Like, why do people love mushrooms so much? Oh, interesting. Okay, I guess that makes sense. That's kind of fun though. Should not be used for any in medical or industrial equipment, but you know. Okay. So I'm just gonna go do this. I don't think. Wait. Can I put metal in here? I definitely can, right? So why don't I sterilize... Okay, wait, hold on. Given that I only have Instant Pot as my autoclave, I should also put in my spatulas and other glassware, right? So I'm thinking I'm going to try to do a big batch of sterilization. Loop, spatulas, spreaders, forceps, glass pipettes should go in your instrument. Well, that's interesting.
I'm Leanne Kiefer. I'm a dental hygienist, and I'm also Director of Education for Crosstex International. Today I want to talk to you about sterilization pouches. Some of the things that I'd like you to consider: we use a medical-grade surgical craft paper. This is important because steam has to enter into this pouch to reach the instruments. After the paper, the next thing you're going to want to look at is the type of laminate. The laminate allows us to see the contents inside the package. What's more important is how that laminate is sealed to the paper, because this seal is going to be put under tremendous pressure during the sterilization process. When this pouch is put under steam and pressure, the pouch will expand and contract. And if you do not have high-quality seals, you'll have a chance of that pouch bursting. There's also things called tack seals at the corners. The tack seals help to ensure the integrity of the pouch during the steam process. The next thing to look at on the self-sealing pouches, you have an adhesive tape at the top. This is something that most clinicians are not aware of. It is incredibly important that when this seal is placed over the pouch, it has to be 50% on the laminate and 50% on the paper. If we don't have it divided evenly, we don't have a sealed pouch. With the SureCheck pouches, we have a perforation at the top of the pouch. What I recommend to clinicians, before they put the first instrument in there, to actually fold over the seal, crease it, and that gives that area memory, so that when you pull the adhesive tab off, it will know exactly where it should be placed. So it's 50% on the laminate, 50% on the paper. While we've got it in this position, let's look at a few other features. If you'll notice at the top, this particular pouch does not go straight across. There's actually a chevron. This feature prevents the instruments, as they're being placed into the pouch for sterilization, of breaking through that bottom seal, as opposed to if you had a straight seal across from side to side. You'll also see that there's a built-in thumb notch to be able to separate paper from the plastic after it's been sterilized. On a SureCheck pouch, you'll see that there is an internal pink indicator
Bro, this
on one
video
side,
sucks.
an
I don't know
internal
what the
green
hell
indicator
this is talking about. Or wait, actually, let's do this.
The point of this video is to kind of show you some techniques, tips, and some things to be concerned about when autoclaving for reagents in a molecular biology lab. By no means is this going to be something you want to use in the healthcare field. They're going to be under stringent standard operating procedure protocols. This are just quick and dirty tips for things we can use for creating media, creating sterile consumables for use doing molecular biology techniques, and working with basic bacteria in the lab. First, I want to show you just a couple things you need to be concerned about when you're prepping samples or items for an autoclave. First and foremost is you need to make sure that the items are actually made up of an autoclavable type of material. So in this particular case, one of the most common types that you're going to run into a laboratory that is autoclavable is polypropylene, or PP. And so that's what these bottles are made of, so I'm going to show you how to deal with those types. And also when you do glass bottles or Erlenmeyer flasks or things along that line, make sure it's Chemex or Pyrex or something that can withstand high temperatures. Autoclaves are going to get it up to a temperature of about 121 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty significant. So items that cannot withstand that temperature and also pressure that the autoclave is going to go through are going to be destroyed under that process. Another important thing in the molecular biology lab is just an indication that the item has actually been brought up to temperature, and that's where we use autoclave tape. In kind of a food testing environment, you'll also see autoclave tape along with spore strips that will actually contain a type of spore or bacterium that is heat resistant up to 121 degrees Celsius. So if it grows after autoclaving, it shows that the appropriate temperature and time at that temperature has not been reached. In a molecular biology lab, usually this is quick and dirty and is good enough for what we do in terms of media and creating sterile Eppendorf tubes or microcentrifuge tubes. Another useful friend is tinfoil. So I'm going to just, what I usually do if I want to have a sterile Erlenmeyer flask is just cap it off with some tinfoil or aluminum foil, and then I put my strip of autoclave tape on the top. That way, once I pull it out, I can't get contamination from above, and so the only time it will then get contaminated is if I remove this tinfoil. So it's a pretty good barrier for just general growth or general medium. I typically will prep a lot of glass borosilicate tubes for mini preps. Use a stainless steel cap, and I autoclave them in an autoclavable container, and then I put the autoclave tape on the side. That way when I reach my lab bench, I know they've been autoclaved and are sterile. For pipette tips, I'll put them in a container. Do check with the manufacturer specs because some tips are not autoclavable, or they may be autoclavable for only a certain period of time. And then I'll put the autoclave tape over the hinge. That way I know when it's been opened. As I talked about, the types of plastic are really important. One of the most common type you're going to run into is polypropylene is autoclavable. I'm going to, just for demonstration's sake, show you polyethylene and low-density polyethylene just to see what happens to that when it's autoclaved. And I'm also going to show you, and that's why I have our targets here, what happens when you don't cap it properly. Manufacturer specs usually state that you just set the cap on there and do not engage the threads. And so what I'm going to do is do it the proper way, do one where the threads are all the way down, and then somewhere it's all the way down. And then once I remove it, I'm going to engage the threads so you can see what happens if you do not allow it to cool properly after autoclaving is done. And then for a lot of things, especially when you're doing liquid, a secondary container is very useful. That way if there is any boil over or spillage that occurs, that the spillage goes into the container and not actually into the autoclave itself. Because if you are autoclaving agar or something along that line, it may actually clog the machine and prevent it from working. You're probably going to annoy a lot of people if you do that. So that's kind of what I do to kind of prep samples. In terms of liquids, they do say the container should contain, you should fill it up no more than 2/3 of the actual volume. That helps reduce boiling over. Just to tell you a little bit about autoclave, this is a nice little benchtop model that maybe a lot of labs don't have, but it's kind of older in nature. This is kind of unique in that you've got to pour your water in here, and then it also just tells you pressure and temperature. It's kind of what most autoclaves are going to do. But do realize it's a very hefty piece of equipment because these are going to withstand a lot of pressure. So basically what it's going to do is I will place my samples inside. And of course if this is hot, you'll definitely want to be wearing some gloves, and I'll do that when I actually pull the things out of here. You'll have a very sturdy lid that you are going to seal down, and then buttons to do it. Most of these are automated, so they'll have media cycles or dry cycles that you can utilize. This one, I just have a selector switch that allows me to do from fast to slow kind of exhaust. If you have a liquid, you want to do a slow exhaust because it's going to gradually decrease the pressure while it's also decreasing the temperature. If you have a huge decrease in pressure, what will typically happen is you'll boil over your liquids. So once again, you'll want to pay attention to what you're actually autoclaving, and typically you'll do liquids separate from dry, consumable type of equipment. All right, now I'm going to load my samples and place them in here. If this autoclave has been on for the day, I will typically wear gloves, but this has not been turned on, so it's not hot. Remember, I try to place my items in a secondary container, and remember, caps are loose. I'm just going to set those on. Place the rest in here. And then for good measure, I'm going to put in some polystyrene. Set it down and seal the container. And for this particular case, I'm going to autoclave for 15 minutes. On fast exhaust. Okay, as you can see, we're at pressure, which is about 15 pounds per square inch. So no fooling about this. This is very dangerous when you're working with this. It's under extremely high pressure, and it's at, in this case, 250 degrees Fahrenheit, or approximately 121 degrees Celsius. So this is now in the autoclaving mode, or the sterilization mode. Okay, now for the fun part. After everything is done, never ever open an autoclave until the temperature is down below about 220 degrees Fahrenheit, or a little bit above 100 degrees Celsius. And never ever try to open it if the pressure is still there. This was up to 15 pounds per square inch. As we can see on the dial, it's now down to 0. All right, now some clear understanding here. This is extremely dangerous piece of equipment to work with. First of all, it got up to that pressure utilizing steam. So what you have to realize is when I open this, a large amount of steam is going to come open. Hence the reason I'm wearing my personal protective equipment, and I'm going to wear gloves because this thing was up to 121 degrees Celsius. When I open this, you're going to realize that steam is going to pour out, so I'm going to keep my face and my arm away from that. A lot of the newer autoclaves will have mechanisms and safety features to prevent you from getting hurt by this. This particular one will allow me to get burned. And then also, I'm going to have a piece of equipment, a tray or a cart that I can put my stuff on. So pay attention and you can see what's going to happen when I open this. Notice the steam coming out. I'm wearing the appropriate equipment. I do not want my face or my arms or anything to be near this. All right, and then I can pull out my equipment. The steam is still going to be rushing out, so that's why I got to be careful. First thing you'll realize, polystyrene is not autoclavable, so now that big polystyrene is now a little miniature. And now I can pull out my equipment. My autoclave tape has changed temperature, so I know it at least went up to 121 degrees Celsius. Now I'm going to pull out my secondary equipment. Remember, when I was loose, I'm now going to tighten. And to show you also, my polyethylene is autoclavable, so what used to be a squirt bottle is now no longer a squirt bottle. And that is autoclaving. And now we'll see what happens to the bottle after a period of time. Do realize this is still hot, and you'll want to leave it available for the next person to use. And also, as these gloves get wet, they are not able to insulate against heat, so try to avoid getting these wet. All right, just to show you again, here are my 3 bottles. This one is a loose cap. While this is still cooling down, I'm going to keep it cool. This one was actually capped while I was in the autoclave, and since it wasn't able to equalize pressure, it did bulge it out a little bit. If that was a glass bottle, it may have busted. And now, the one I was pulled out, I've now capped it. So what we're going to see as this cools off is these are capped, and we'll see what that's going to cause in terms of effect. Here is the bottle made from polyethylene. You can see it's a nice, beautiful little melted mass. And then the rest in terms of autoclaving. Okay, so as these cool, as you can see, the one that is capped after I cooled it down, as the air pressure decreases, we start to create a vacuum, and hopefully you can see it's kind of folding in a little bit. And in many cases, these can be very difficult to open. Now that's not sterile anymore. But one of the problems that can happen is this kind of folds in and creates a very tight vacuum with the cap when it's completely cool and you actually can't get the material that you just autoclaved.
In this video, you will learn the proper practices and procedures for performing aseptic technique. Using aseptic technique, you will be able to transfer a bacterial monoculture into a fresh medium without introducing any contaminating microorganisms. 2 of the most commonly used tools for transferring bacteria are the inoculation loop and the inoculation needle. Knowing how to use a Bunsen burner is an important skill in aseptic technique. To light a Bunsen burner, start by closing the valve at the base by rotating the collar so that the vents are covered. Then slowly turn on the gas. Once you hear the gas, ignite the burner and set the height of the flame by adjusting the amount of gas. The temperature of the flame can be adjusted by rotating the collar to control the flow of oxygen. The coolest flame is yellow and orange. A medium flame is blue. And the hottest flame is a roaring blue flame characterized by a clear blue cone in the middle. The tip of the cone is the hottest part of the flame. Inoculation tools are sterilized by passing them through the hottest part of the flame. Once sterilized, inoculation tools should not be set down on any surface. In this section, you will learn how to transfer bacteria from a liquid culture to a petri dish. After flaming a loop, take the lid off the container of liquid culture and pass the mouth through the flame. Then dip the loop into the liquid culture and flame the mouth again before replacing the lid. Transfer the bacteria to your petri plate. Lift the lid of the plate and hold it over the base as a shield to prevent contaminants from falling onto the plate. Spread the bacteria over the entire surface of the plate in all directions. Rotating the plate a quarter turn between spreads will ensure that the bacteria is spread evenly across the plate.
I don't understand though. Like, wasn't that sterile? I don't get what he just did.
In this section, you will learn how to transfer bacteria from a liquid culture to a liquid. After sterilizing an inoculation loop, take the lid off the container of liquid culture and pass the mouth through the flame. Then dip the loop into the liquid culture and flame the mouth
Oh,
again before
I'm
replacing the
dumb.
lid.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Now take the tube of liquid media and pass the mouth through the flame. Then dip the loop with bacteria into the tube. Flame the mouth of the tube before replacing the lid. Flame the loop to sterilize. In this section, you will learn how to transfer bacteria from a Petri plate to a stab culture. Start by sterilizing an inoculation needle by passing it through a flame. Allow the needle to cool. You can test for coolness by tapping the needle in a clear area on your agar plate. While holding the lid as a shield, gently rub the inoculation needle over a single colony. Transfer the bacteria to a culture tube filled with nutrient agar. Remove the top of the tube and insert the needle, making 3 deep stabs. When finished, replace the lid on the tube and sterilize the needle. In this section, you will learn how to transfer bacteria from a Petri plate to a liquid. Sterilize an inoculation loop by passing it through a flame. Let the loop cool. You can test for coolness by tapping the loop in a clear area on your agar plate. While holding the lid as a shield, gently rub the inoculation loop over a single colony. Now take the tube of liquid media.
I
Remove
honestly
the
am
lid.
so excited to see my cells grow, dude. That's gonna be so cool.
And pass the mouth through the flame. Then dip the loop with bacteria into the tube. Pass the mouth of the container through the flame before replacing the lid. Sterilize the inoculation loop to complete the process.
That was a good video. I feel like I want one of those little flames.
Hi, I'm
man.
Megan, a scientist at Adgene. Aseptic technique is a critical skill for success in numerous fields, including microbiology, molecular biology, or cell biology. In this instructional video, we're going to provide an overview of some of the key strategies of aseptic technique. These include personal protective equipment, setting up a clean workspace, and maintaining sterility while working. Before beginning any experiment, make sure that you're wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment, including a lab coat, gloves, and if necessary, safety glasses. As we mentioned during our protocol on getting started with tissue culture, body flora can be a common cause of contamination in reagents. To reduce the risk of contaminating your samples with body flora, ensure that your arms and wrists are covered by a cuffed lab coat or disposable arm cuffs. While gloves are meant to protect users from the material they are working with, they also protect the material from user contamination. To keep your gloves clean, avoid touching your skin and hair, as well as your cell phone, writing utensils, or other unsterilized objects. Always change your gloves if you touch something unsterile.
This
or are
is
starting
why, bro. This is why we need like completely. What do they call them? They call them lights out factories. Bro, that's what I'm saying, man. God damn. Lights out biofactories, man. That's what I'm talking about.
new task. Before beginning any task, clear the workspace of unnecessary materials. Set up all materials so that they are in arm's reach, with clean and dirty items clearly separated. We recommend working from left to right, with all clean materials stored on the left and waste bins to the right. If you're going to be using a Bunsen burner or candle jar, make sure that the space around the burners are free of loose papers or laboratory wipes.
I really want one of those. This seems so sick. Probably get this one. This seems like a very good substitute to a Bunsen burner. Bro, I'm totally getting one of these. These seem so sick, man. I could get a butane torch because those are also.
degrees Celsius.
Oh wait,
and the
not this one. Sterile technique.
Finally, wipe down the workspace and pipettes with 70% alcohol and allow it to evaporate. Before beginning a task, examine all of your materials for signs of contamination or signs that the sterility may have been compromised. Check all autoclaved items to ensure that the indicator tape has changed colors. For items that are covered with foil, check for tears or holes. For capped items, ensure that the cap has been tightly sealed.
I'm gonna. You know, I'm just so curious. Has anyone tried autoclave tape in the Instant Pot? I'm gonna try that. I mean, it's like not that expensive for a roll. And I just want to see if it works.
Dishes, examine the dishes for signs of microbial growth. Foil is often used as a cover for bottles and beakers. Before beginning your work, gently loosen the edges of the foil so that it is easier to remove. When ready, gently lift the foil with one hand and keep it upright to prevent contamination of the sterile side. While working, keep the foil in your hand rather than putting it down on the lab bench. Work quickly so that the beaker does not sit uncovered for an extended period of time. When working in the lab with sterile liquids in glass bottles, gently loosen the cap before starting. Using one hand, remove the cap from the bottle. To prevent the sterile side of the cap from becoming contaminated, do not put the cap on the lab bench. Instead, hold it in your hand upright as you work. While holding the bottle at an angle, gently pass the neck of the bottle through the flame. Before recapping, pass the neck of the bottle through the flame a second time. If you're going to use the bottle again, you can leave the cap loosely sitting on the top of the bottle. Once you are finished, however, be sure to cap the bottle tightly. Metal objects such as forceps and
There's a ton of lore. That's the crazy thing. There's a ton of very,
spreaders are
they
used
don't seem important, but it is.
reused frequently in the lab. While these items can be sterilized in an autoclave, it is often more convenient to disinfect with alcohol in a burner. To sterilize, dip the portion of the instrument that will be used for the procedure in 70% alcohol. Be extremely careful not to disperse the alcohol onto the handle or anywhere near the area that you will touch. Pass the alcohol-dipped portion of the instrument through the flame of the burner to ignite, and then allow the alcohol to burn off. Once the alcohol has burned off, the instrument is sterile, but be careful, it will be extremely hot. If you're going to use the instrument on a live culture such as bacteria, touch the hot tip to the inside of a sterile tube or the surface of an uninoculated culture to cool before contacting the specimen. Agar dishes are used in the lab to culture bacteria such as E. coli. To reduce the risk of body flora contamination when working with agar plates, do not fully remove the lid of the agar dish.
Oh shit, I
Instead,
totally did that.
Hold the lid at a 75 to 90 degree angle toward you and inoculate from behind. The lid will form an additional barrier against unwanted contamination.
Okay, so body flora. That's crazy, man. But hey, first experiment. I'm not too like, it's like, but still, I wish I had done it right.
Thank you for watching Adgene's aseptic technique video. For
Dude,
more
these
useful
videos are so good, man.
So in this video, we are going to look at aseptic technique. This is activity 1-3. So first, let's start with aseptic technique. Aseptic technique is to transfer bacteria from one place to another without contaminating ourselves or the culture. So we want to make sure that we keep that culture pure, that when we do the transfer, that we are only transferring the bacteria that we want onto a sterile slant or plate or wherever we are inoculating. Now, the word inoculate is referring to introduce microbes into a new environment. So that would be like if we were to take bacteria that's in one slant and transfer it to a new slant. We would inoculate.
What was that? The lights out factory. Yeah. So wait. One thing. I forgot is the plates were left in the dining room, up with the auger on the top. The auger facing down. All right, cool.
That. Now, you can think of inoculation if you think about vaccines, for example, right? You might have heard the term inoculate in that context. And it's the same idea, right? Because in a vaccine is often going to be an injection of a weakened microbe or a portion of a microbe that is used to elicit an immune response, right? And so that is still introducing microbes into a new environment. So what we'll be doing in this experiment is that we will be transferring Citrobacter frundi and Staphylococcus epidermidis. And these are the two bacteria that will be used in the gram stain. And so normally in lab, what we would do is we would have you get in pairs. And in pairs, one partner would make the Citrobacter frundi slant, and the other partner would make the Staphylococcus epidermidis. And so when I demonstrate this, I'm only going to demonstrate this with one of the organisms. I'm not going to demonstrate it with both because the same idea applies for both slants. So first, what is a slant? Well, it's an agar tube. So here's our agar tube. And the media is at an angle called a slant. So that slant is going to give us an increased surface area to be able to culture bacteria without needing an entire plate. And so this would be what we call a slant. So what you would do in this is, one thing I need to talk about is the Bunsen burner.
This
and
is
when
not
you light
gonna
the
work
Bunsen
for me. I like the higher quality videos. This video is not going to do it for me.
The millennials can't afford houses because they keep buying avocado toast.
No.
The millennials can't afford houses because they keep buying Fisher brand IsoTemp digital hot plates. Also, interest rates
I bet that thing is fucking
are like
expensive, bro.
In part one of this video, I want to walk you through my lab, talk about all of the equipment that I use on a regular basis, and show you where to buy
Bro, she's
affordable,
so badass,
refurbished
dude.
equipment. Emphasis.
I want to know about that. The equipment.
And show you where to buy.
Look at that. Look at that thing. That's so smart. I was thinking about that. It's like, why not use an electric current to sterilize?
Affordable, refurbished equipment. Emphasis on affordable. In part two, I'm going to talk about stocking the laboratory with supplies so that you'll have everything you need to attempt amateur science and possibly unlock horrors humanity was never meant to see. Before we jump in, hello, my name is Lore, and I make videos about plant tissue culture. Plant tissue culture is the process of cloning genetically identical plants. It is very cool, and from one small piece of plant tissue, you can create pretty much infinite plants. I also host a Discord server where we talk about tissue culture, and people all over the world are doing it. So if you want to... Okay, so this is a view of my laboratory. I rent the space through a startup incubator. Before I had the space here, I was doing this from my house, so you can definitely build a laboratory in your house. I imagine that's what most people watching the video are intending to do. On a scale from lab in fiction to lab in reality, I find that the space is firmly grounded in reality. The largest piece of equipment and the first piece of equipment that I want to talk about today is the laminar flow hood. The flow hood creates a sterile working environment by blowing clean, filtered air over your work surface, which then keeps the bacteria and the dust away from your cultures or other sensitive materials. I primarily use the flow hood when I'm putting explants into tissue culture, which is the beginning of the process, when I'm subculturing, which is the act of transferring plants from one container to a new container of fresh media, and also when I pour the media, which I demonstrated in a recent video. So I use it a lot. It's probably the most important piece of equipment that I have. If you are curious, the model that I've been currently using is the New Air AirGuard NU340.
This girl just made a new video on this.
Like $5,000. Do not give New Air your $5,000. Please, God. Instead, let me put you onto public surplus. Big public...
Bro, now that was the kind of information that I was looking for, dude. Government surplus auctions, bro. Wow. Fire truck? Oh, damn. A fire truck. Okay. Do they have a search looking for a specific item? Flow hood. PCR. Bro, come on. What? Biology. Medical. This is not putting me on, dude. None of this is relevant.
Institutions like universities are constantly buying new lab equipment, which is fantastic news for us trash goblins because that means they're selling the old equipment at a very steep discount. They sell all sorts of other stuff too, but today we're focusing on the
Let's look up centrifuge. Is that even a centrifuge? What? That's not even the same thing. This doesn't even look like the right picture, dude.
lab equipment. GovDeals is another website that's very similar to Public Surplus. There are also private lab surplus companies as well. The Lab World Group, Surplus Solutions, and LabX were just a few that I found when I was researching for this video, but there are obviously others as well. If you do Lab World Group, there are also private lab surplus companies as well. The Lab World Group.
That's the problem, is there's just so low volume that this is like not. Hello? Hello? Bro, come on.
Group, Surplus Solutions, and LabX were just a few that I found when I was researching for this video, but there are obviously others as well. If you do purchase a flow hood secondhand, I would make a point to ask when the filter was last replaced because HEPA filters can be quite expensive. And if you're especially handy, I do know a couple of the people in the Plants and Jars Discord server have built their own flow hoods. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll link a tutorial below that a lot of people have used and had success with. The next two pieces of equipment that I regularly use for plant tissue culture are the orbital shaker and the magnetic stirrer. The Fisher Isotemp magnetic stirrer / hot plate I did buy brand new. Boo! I'll pipe in like some boo sounds. I think it was.
Whoa.
I'll pipe in like some boo sounds.
That's insane.
I think it was around $900, and I bought it kind of when I was first getting started and didn't know better. I mainly use the magnetic stirrer for mixing tissue culture media, which is the gel that the plants multiply in. The magnetic stirrer uses a spinning magnet underneath the plate to make a small stir.
There's no way that you need to spend a K on the fucking hot plate, dude. That's just bogus.
bar.
It's bogus city, dog. That's bogus city, bro. There's no way I'm doing that. That's mother effing bogus city, bro. That's bogus university, dude. That's one of whatever.
Inside the liquid spin around, essentially mixing everything together. It's kind of like having a tiny motor inside the liquid that keeps it stirring so that you don't have to do it
Wait,
manually.
why is my computer fucking... Okay, so we did this. Let's close this, and this. Oh yeah, that was the website. That was what was doing it. So, so the pouches, maybe I should just get them. Because what else do I need to sterilize? All right.
Yoli, bog witch, cauldron style. The reason that this particular magnetic stirrer is so expensive is because it also has a hot plate component as well. I seldom, if ever, use the hot plate. I basically never use it. It's useless to me. Sometimes I'll turn it on to prevent my media from congealing into a gel too quickly after autoclaving it before I can pour it, but that's the only time I ever use it. I wouldn't even recommend purchasing one of these refurbished. I would instead just march on over to Amazon and purchase a cheap one there. I have 2 of them that I recommend. I've used both of these before, and they're both pretty inexpensive. And then to really pimp out your magnetic stirrer, I would recommend getting some extra stir bars. The magnetic stirrer will come with one, but you're gonna want more than one. The orbital shaker is what I use to sterilize explants, which are
Dude, what is going on here, Anna? Is it literally just my OBS?
pieces of plant tissue you start with for the tissue culture process. Everything in tissue culture needs to be completely sterile and very clean. So in order to
What is... This could be pretty fun just to get a hang on some techniques that's not just bacteria. Not that I really want to do this, like... Watch, we're gonna just Google the first reagent and be like, how expensive is this shit? It's gonna be one of those ones that you don't even... It's $200. But if you buy one, you get one free. And they probably give you like 50 microliters. How much do they even give you? Why is it so expensive? Wait, how do... I think I looked this up on stream recently. How do plasmids get made? Design any necessary flanking, homology, or restriction sites for your chosen assembly method. This makes no sense to me. I need to read way more about this. I don't know how that works at all. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this stream and then I always like hesitate because I want to document everything, but I'm just gonna try to do this autoclave thing inside. All right, this is fun, man, and plus I like that I have a good option for what to do next, which is to select an individual colony and just replay.